So I guess let's talk Iron Fist Season 2. Iron Fist Season 2 is out on Netflix, and let's talk about it, I guess. I don't have anything better to do. Do you? Before talking about Season 2 of Iron Fist, I'll just talk a little bit about what I thought about Season 1. I didn't hate it like a lot of people did. I think the general consensus on Season 1 was that it was bad. And I didn't think it was that bad. I didn't think it was that great either. I definitely thought it was the weakest of all the Defenders shows. And it was the most disappointing. That's stupid. I remember after watching the first episode not being that into it, and after the last episode I was still kind of like I think halfway I was more into it, and then the finale definitely disappointed me. I'm trying to remember what happened. I think it didn't even end like with a big fight like I was hoping it for. I vaguely remember Papa Meacham, whatever his name was, had a gun or something, and yeah, I don't know. It wasn't a very good finale, and then that sort of carried over into Defenders, that sense of disappointment, because then when the Defenders came out, it was kind of disappointing as well. Going into Season 2 of Iron Fist, they had a lot of things that they needed to fix. They replaced Scott Buck, I know, as the showrunner. I know I don't know offhand who was the showrunner, but I know I'm 99% sure it wasn't Scott Buck, which a lot of people in the fan community attributed all the fault to, which might not necessarily be fair, but fans tend to lump all of the blame onto one person, especially the guy in charge, and especially after he was the showrunner and Inhumans, which was a pile of garbage. I guess the question for me is not so much is Season 2 good, but is it better than Season 1? And I think for the most part, yes, but not by that much. So the first thing I want to talk about is decrease the number of episodes for Iron Fist Season 2 from 13 to 10. And I've seen a lot of people saying that this is for the better, and that the 13 episode length was not working for a lot of the shows, that they felt that there was too much filler. And honestly, I didn't feel that way for the other shows. I don't really specifically remember episodes in Jessica Jones Season 1 or 2 or Luke Cage that stood out to me, of feeling like this should have been cut, like some people. But I do understand the idea of like maybe less episodes could get a tighter season. And honestly, I feel like after watching this season, 10 episodes was still too many episodes. And I don't know if it's just like budgeting or something. It's just like I would really rather have 6 action-packed episodes than like 10 like here and there, some big action moments. But for the most part, we still spend, it feels like half the season where Danny isn't the Iron Fist. And I don't remember what they did in Season 1. They did something similar where like Danny couldn't use the Iron Fist for some reason. Something was messed up with his chi. I don't even remember. But yeah, in this season, they take away the Iron Fist from him for a great deal of time. Well, actually, he never, just spoiler alert, he never gets the Iron Fist back. So he gets it taken away episodes 3 or 4. I don't remember. It seemed really early on. I mean, when you think about it, it's just 10 episodes. It's like 30 or 40% of the way through. But yeah, he spends most of the season as not the Iron Fist anymore. And this isn't, and I thought about this, like compared to, if you compare like Iron Fist Season 2 to say Iron Man 3, after watching Iron Man 3, the big thing is like he's Iron Man even without the suit. And I feel like when they pitched this season, maybe they said like you're supposed to feel like Danny Rand is the Iron Fist even without the Iron Fist. It doesn't do that at all. Like he's not, I don't know. It just did not work out. So the action sequences, I'm not a big action junkie. I mean, I enjoyed like well choreographed action scenes like anybody else, but I'm not like very eagle-eyed with like telling the differences. I felt they were about the same. I don't know. Like I saw some people saying they were better. I know a lot of people ragged on season 1 for the action sequences not being good. I mean, honestly, I didn't notice it. I mean, I know I read about how the actor who played Danny Rand was really unprepared for season 1. Like, he only got like a couple months to prepare. And honestly, just watching it like one time through, maybe if I rewatch it, I'll notice differences, but I don't know if I like this show enough to actually rewatch it. But just watching it once through, I don't know. The action seems fine. I just wish there was a little bit more. For a show that's about the Kung Fu guy, there's a surprising lack of action. You know, and I don't know why. The other thing I noticed about this season is Rand Corporation, or Rand Corp, or whatever his business is called, seems to be pretty much out of the picture. Like, it still exists, it's just in the background. And honestly, I don't know if this is for the better or worse. I think from a certain point of view, if you can just like cut an element out like that and you hardly even notice it, it's probably for the better that you just cut it out. You know, the fact that you can just take characters like Ward and Joy out of the office and just not have the office means you didn't really need to have the office in the first place. I mean, I guess it's just a setting to start with, and they didn't really have anything happening in the office this season, so they didn't really need it. So I mean, I guess that's a good thing. Points to this show for not doing what other shows in the past have done, is like just trying to reuse the old sets and forcing it to be like, that's definitely something they could have done. They could have had like all of Ward scenes and then in the office, and then brought everyone to the office at some point. So I guess it's a good thing they didn't do that, which is something they easily could have. In general, with this season, it just doesn't seem like the story knows where it's going or what it wants to be. It seems like the story is like a half correction to the series in general, and then half apology, and that kind of gets into what they sort of did with the character of Colleen and the transfer of the Iron Fist, which I'll get to more into when I talk about her. So I'm gonna just go from character to character. Okay, Danny Rand. I'm still not really digging this portrayal of this character. I'll admit I don't really know about the character in the comics at all. I've never read a Iron Fist comic, so I don't have any attachment to the character, but I don't have any attachment to this portrayal of this character. And I don't mean anything against the actor, but it just, in a lot of ways, just doesn't seem to work. And one of the big things I think with Iron Fist is, even when they announce the actor, is I don't want to body shame, but at the same time, Iron Fist is like a kung fu guy. He's like the master of kung fu, and the actor doesn't really look like he's in the shape to be this master fighter guy. And like in season 2, when he has that scene where he goes into the subway tracks or whatever. Well, not the subway tracks. He goes in the subway room. It's in the subway, or I don't remember. And he takes off his shirt, and he's so skinny for a guy who's like, I don't know. He doesn't have to be like jacked, like muscle bound, but I don't know, something more than than what he looks like. And maybe that's a little unfair to expect the actor to be that. But I feel like they should have maybe cast someone else. And I think for the most part, if the actor provided a characterization that really worked, and then the character just popped off the screen, something like that wouldn't really matter as much to me. But when you don't have that, then you start nitpicking more. One of the things I just don't really get what they're doing with the writing of Danny Rand's character. Like he sort of just seems to have all these emotional issues. Like in season 1, they had this whole sort of weird blurry light thing, and then with him not being able to control his anger, and something that had to do with his chi. And this sort of continues that. I mean, I was kind of hoping that would just get left behind in season 1, and they definitely put less emphasis on it. But it does rear its head again, especially in the episode where Colleen is training him to fight again, where it just I don't really get what they're doing with that. And I like the direction they finally go with Danny Rand at the end of the series, at the end of the season, in that he admits that he doesn't know where he is in life. And I kind of like that idea, because that kind of works with his character being this guy who's, he was in Kunlun for most of his life, and he became the Iron Fist because what else is he going to do? And he didn't really become the Iron Fist for the right reasons, I guess. But the whole journey there doesn't really make sense to me. The idea that suddenly the using the Iron Fist is like a drug, which seemed like an somewhat interesting analogy that never really got fully explored. Because if it's like a drug, why is it going to be different for Colleen? And it was never really explored with how that would also influence. I can't speak. How that would also influence Davos. I don't think it was ever really explored that well, and that's what one of my arguments for that. Maybe in the way that they made the show, it needed to be a little bit longer for them to explore certain things. Even though I think a shorter season might have even been better. It's kind of a trade-off with how they write the show, that I think it's oversimplistic to say it's always better to have a shorter show, because just because it's shorter doesn't mean the things you want to be explored more are going to be explored more. They might get cut and you get all the boring bits. So really, a show, I think, can be, more episodes of length if you add more story or more characterization in. It's just a matter of skill of writing and planning out the season well. Moving on, Colleen Wing. I thought she was the standout character in season 1, and she remains the standout character. Badass Asian chick. I thought she had a great interaction with Misty and Luke Cage, and she has a great interaction with Misty in season 2. It was cool to have Misty. She kind of just, I feel like going from Luke Cage to this works really well. Not only because you had the not so much in the Danny Rand appearance in Luke Cage, but from having Colleen and Misty in the main character in Luke Cage, and then she just plugs right in here, at least in terms with interacting with Colleen. And yeah, all good things about that character. So Ward and Joy Meacham. Aside from the plot with Davos and the fact that Joy is at the beginning of the season plotting with Ward, I kind of feel like these are two characters that we would be better off if without, for various reasons. They don't really seem to belong in this show anymore. Despite the fact that I do like Ward and the actor who plays Ward and some of the things that character does, I kind of feel like he doesn't fit anywhere really well. And at least, especially most of what he did with this season. The last scene of in the last episode, it shows an interesting new direction for that character. We'll see if they make a season 3, if maybe he can do some more stuff. But in general, this season, the whole storyline with his addiction and stuff, it just didn't seem necessary for this show. And that's what I mean, like when I say like maybe 6 episodes would be better, because stuff like that feels like filler, because it's stuff that's interesting, but it's not really needed to tell the Iron Fist story. You know, that's stuff that's like, I don't know, for a different show, like, it's not bad. It's just like, it's not needed for this story. This is a story about the Iron Fist, Danny Rand, or whoever the Iron Fist is. And everything that had to do with Ward and his addiction and the NA, it didn't really feel needed to tell the story of the Iron Fist. It felt extra, like padded out. That goes the same to the character of Mary Walker. And this was a character who I just felt like it didn't play out. Like we got a tease of this character, and then she just kind of stuck around for the whole time. Really, with Mary, I felt that after, I can't remember which episodes, 3 or 4, the episode where she beats Danny. After that episode, she really didn't do much. I didn't really feel like she needed to be in the show anymore. And I feel like there's so much stuff like in here, thinking about it now that I'm just doing the video, thinking to myself that you could cut, like Mary after after episode 3 or 4, or all of the extra Ward stuff, because it doesn't really tie in, and it's not a part of the story. It's just like that's the bad thing about like these sort of TV shows and the way they're made. This feels like very much a part of like the traditional TV show, where like you get the same characters and you have to continue their story somehow, and it makes some plots for them to do, even if they don't have a place in the show anymore, or even if that's like the bad thing without like contracts and stuff. It's like with actors and TV shows is that you can't just like have a character drop away and then just bring them back. That's one good thing you can do with comics and animation that you can't really do with TV shows, when you have actors and contracts and negotiations, and you know you agreed to put them in season 2 as a main character, which means they need to be in a certain amount of episodes. And because I think it would have been better if we gotten that tease of her, maybe the like just the last tease of where we find out that there's another altar. I don't know, you'd have to shuffle it in differently, but then disappear, because for the rest of the season I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it didn't. We got a little hint of something, and I don't know if they're saving it for another show, but it was just disappointing. Like, it kind of felt like that's it. Or if they did have her in the rest of the show, she should have been more of a secondary antagonist. Like, she should have fought someone. She should have done something, basically. And it didn't. It felt like they were trying to. I don't know what they were doing with this show, you know? At times, I felt like they're being far too much like Jessica Jones, where they're like slowing down the action. Where this show, I don't know, this show doesn't have an identity. It has a real identity problem. It doesn't know what it wants to be, because in part I feel is because the problem you have with a show like Iron Fist is that the people who work on it, I'm sure, are really I don't want to say they don't work hard, but I think at a certain point, the reason you don't get like a really great showrunner for Iron Fist is that the people who have like really great ideas pass on this type of show because they don't feel anything for it, or they don't like the idea of the character. And that's why you get people like Scott Buck, who will just shoot a show. just does the job, But at the same point, he's like a little creatively bankrupt. He doesn't care. He shoots the show. That kind of went on a little rant. The last character I wanted to talk about is Davos. One problem I have with Davos is there's a big jump in the season when he gets the fist, and his thinking, and then he goes, let's just kill everyone. Like, he goes from, okay, I deserve to have the Iron Fist because, I'm from Kunlun, and Danny Rand never deserved it. So then he gets the Iron Fist. Then he says, I'm going to do what Danny never could. And so he basically takes on what Danny was trying to do with the Triad, and he starts killing Triad members, and then he takes a big leap from that to, well, the whole if you're not with me, you're against me, and I'll just punch a hole through you. And I don't necessarily think that I just think it needed some more scenes. Like, it needed some more connection to some more things. I say it needed more connection to how how Davos got to that way of thinking, because it kind of doesn't make sense. And the other thing I was surprised, they don't even bring up the fact that Kunlun is gone. Well, is Kunlun gone? We saw it disappear, but everyone's treating it like, that's it. It's gone forever. And I would have thought that Davos would be trying to find some way to bring it back, but that doesn't seem like even... I mean, he must not think it's possible, but I would have thought that would have been more interesting if he had been... There had been some bigger plan. That's kind of the disappointing thing with Davos this season, is he gets the fist, he achieves that goal, and then it turns into a much smaller story. Except it takes 6 episodes to do it, and it really could have been done in a couple episodes. It's just Davos tries to show he's better at the better Iron Fist than Danny, and then Colleen gets the Iron Fist. The ending, Colleen gets the Iron Fist. I do not hate it, but I do not love it either. I think it feels... I'm not sure if they're just trying to like apologize for the whole idea of even casting a white guy as Danny, even though that's what the comic character is. It's just the show has had a huge amount of problems with that from the beginning. Before they even cast it, just announcing that they were going to do that, and that's just a problem with the character, the way it was written, and I don't know what you do about that. Their solution seems... I don't know if it's a solution. We'll see what happens if they make a season 3 or if they just do a spinoff. It kind of feels like they're just playing it safe, to be honest. Like, they're kind of half apologizing and half not. They're kind of like halfway saying, if people like this, we'll just make Colleen the Iron Fist, and then we'll just, yay, Iron Fist is now Asian. Everyone's happy, right? Yeah. And female, yeah. Or if people are like, it kind of feels like they're doing it halfway, so that if people don't like it, they really hate it, they'll be like, no, it's cool. We'll make Danny Fist the Iron Fist again. Danny Fist? We'll make Danny the Iron Fist again. It's cool, because I don't know what's going on at the end. I know they mentioned the name of some guy, it's totally escaping my mind, who's apparently another Iron Fist. So I think that seems like an interesting direction to go to in the next season, if they have a next season. Other things they could do, I know multiple people have mentioned Daughters of the Dragon, do a spinoff with Colleen Wing and Misty Knight. I think that might be interesting. I think definitely looking forward to some sort of showdown with Luke Cage and in a Luke Cage season 3. I think that's pretty much it for my thoughts on Iron Fist season 2. I it was okay. I think the more I talk about like shows like this, like you start talking about it, and then you think of more and more stuff you had problems with. But like I enjoyed watching it. I'm trying to. There are definitely some, because that's the thing with the action sequences. There weren't really a lot of great standout action sequences. Overall, still one of the weaker shows. I think it would be interesting to see the characters in other shows more than the see in season 3. But if they do release a season 3, I think I'll still watch it to see what happens with those. With the chi guns, chakra guns, or whatever. I think it might be interesting to see characters like that in a different show, or to see what's her name, Typhoid Mary, maybe. Because I as much as I was kind of disappointed in her character, I'm interested to see her in a different show. Hopefully, better written, and I am having more to do than just like blankly stare most of the time. Anyway, I guess if you have anything to add to that, or if you really disagree with me, feel free to comment below. And I'll see you in the next video.